welcome back to Adobe Live and welcome to Animation 201, where we learn animation tips and tricks with fun downloadable mini-game tings. But before we get further into today's session, let me say hello to the chat. Hi Val, hi Joshua, hello Penny, Oliver. Well, I hope you're all doing wonderful today and I hope you're ready to learn. Also, I'm gonna need your help today. I'm gonna create something, but I need you to tell me kind of what I'm gonna be making. I need two different things. It'll make more sense later on, but one will be either an object or a shape or a character, and two will be something floppy, like ears or a tie or something. But back to the ting. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of different 12 steps of, or the 12 principles of animation so far, and today is going to be all about pose to pose and straight ahead, which is awesome because now that we're doing more frame by frame animation, it's going to be a little bit more important to know how to use these and what they're all about. Strike a pose! Does that count? Like, is that good? Hi, Uma. Hitting the like button now. Oh, thank you, Devlin. Alrighty. So, we've got a couple of whats, as we always do. So, firstly, what is straight ahead? Straight ahead is a spontaneous approach where you animate one drawing after another sequentially. So, if we take Newton's cradle, for example, and let's say I wanted to animate this frame by frame. If we do it straight ahead, we could end up with some very odd results, like constantly changing size of our item, and maybe it might not even hit the mark. This is just because we can't really tell where it has to go next. It's better for spontaneous type things. So if it's not really good in this instance, where is it good? Well, like I said, things that are spontaneous and unpredictable. Water, fog, ears, bows, ties, anything that's kind of floppy. That way we can make a more sporadic approach that feels a bit more natural. But this works best with pose to pose. Pose to pose is drawing the beginning and end of each main pose and filling in the in-betweens after. So, let's say we've got a samurai. If this was our start pose and this was our end pose, we would then draw a picture that's halfway between them in the middle. So that would be your in-between. What this allows us to do is know exactly where our action is going, where it's going to end up without any guesswork. This means that we won't really run into the trouble of having it change sizes or doing something unpredictable like that. So we would have our main pose, our last pose, the middle pose, and we'll draw an in-between between that, and we'll draw an in-between between that, and we'll pretty much keep drawing in-betweens between the in-betweens between those in-betweens and more in-betweens to come. Right, makes a lot of sense, right? And if you've ever seen traditional frame by frame, it kind of looks like this, but thousands of them. Woo, my goodness. So what are we going to be working on today then? We're working on Whee! That's right, we've got our one class project because as you know, for those that have been doing our Adobe Animate classes, animation takes quite a while. So I won't overload you with too many mini games. We'll go with the one so we can give it more of our attention. And this is your call to action to download the mini game files. If you take a look on YouTube, check out the description box. There's a link that will take you to today's lesson files. And you can also see some previous work from some of our top students, Penny Doodles and Easy for President, that have been doing some of our Adobe Animate mini games from before. So if you do want your work to be featured on Animation 201, all up on the big screen, don't forget to send me a message, show me your work, and I'd love to pop it up there. Now back to a human for a little bit. Penny said that samurai looks familiar. I see you've remembered. It's nice to bring them back every once in a while. Welcome on in, Easy. Christopher, thank you so much for coming on in. I hope you're doing well. Wait, Reva, Mike, what do you mean? We could all use a good wish. Mike. Oh, you're at work. Well, Easy, I hope you can participate. I'd love to see what you're going to do with this one. So, here's where I need your help, chat. As we saw in the what screens, the things that I use for straight ahead were like a bow and a tie. We can think about what the straight ahead thing's going to be afterwards, because we mainly need to work on the main character. That's what we're going to do in straight ahead. That way we know where we're going. I'd like you to give me some suggestions for maybe something we could do. In my example that you're going to see in a little bit, or if you've already downloaded the file, it's a bunny that I used for this one. But if it's something I can draw that you've given me an idea of, I'll do my best to. Oh, Joshua, that's very kind of you. I will wait, exactly. Thank you, Val. I was like, I'm not sure. Is this sketchy or nah? But as you've got a little bit of time to think, it could be like a square. We used the star last time. It could be a pot. I don't know. Okie dokie. So while you're thinking, let's take a look at what we're doing. One. Whee! So we've got a slide. And it's down to us to make our character interact with the slide. So for this one, I picked a bunny, but we can do anything. Doesn't necessarily have to come in and out of the screen, but that's the easiest way to make it loop. You can absolutely do it in your own way. Maybe the character goes up to the slide, rests on the slide for a little bit, and then leaves. It's all down to you. You'll participate when you finish work. Woo! I can't wait to see it, Easy. Ah, thank you, Alessandra. Alrighty. So, when you download and open the mini game that you've got in the chat, thank you, Val. Thanks to Val. Take a look down below. You'll notice that there is actually a folder, which is pixipui's example. So by default, if you press play or you scrub through, you'll see all of the keyframes that I've done beforehand. And you're also able to turn off the layers if you want to just see the main core of what I've done. But we're going to go through this on our own. Is it whoosh? Is that the sound for the bunny doing its thing? The whoosh? But this is a nice helpful backup, but you don't really need it necessarily. But I will teach you some things that I did learn on the way of making this one, which I'm going to reveal this for a little bit. I've discovered as the middle of your screen or wherever your main project window is the only thing that's really going to be in focus. What you can do is use your guide and all the rest of it as a spare area to keep information, notes, even colors that you need. That way you don't need to go back to the swatch or fiddle around with that over there. You can do it all on the main screen. Alrighty. So, hi Seda. Welcome on in, lovely. Oh, PJ, well done, hun. Look at you out here working hard. As we don't have any particular suggestions for the shape or the size, we're gonna make a guide temporarily. Although, if anybody mentions what they'd like us to design, we'll do our best to add it in there. But before you get started, when you've got your mini game open, you want to make a new layer for your guide. So we'll call it guide layer. I do kind of want to do that star again, but the star and the background are the same color, and I don't do outlines yet. So we'll skip that. Okay. So if we're going to go with the bunny type thing again, what we'd want to do is make our guide. Now our guide is going to have everything on it, all the main movement. We don't need to really worry about posing out the straight ahead, so the things that are going to flop afterwards, we don't need to worry about it whatsoever. We can make another guide for that, but let's take it step by step. A dodecahedron? Hold on a second. I'm gonna have to look it up. I remember Lisa Simpson saying it, but what? Oh, a little hexagon-y thing? It's not a hexagon, it's a dodecahedron. I could. Although, it's got a lot of... We've been doing, like, mainly the outlines. It's gonna kind of look like a hexagon when we do it. I could do that. That's a shape. I mean, it is. Oliver, why would you do this, Oliver? I mean, we could. Dodecahedron sounds like a magic spell. Val, was it calling you because of your username? Voodoo Val, like, you heard the calling. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm ready for... Okay, we're gonna do it then. We're doing it. Thank you, Oliver. Oliver, since you're the one that's giving me some shout outs here, I need you to think of something else that I can put on top of this dodecahedron. Why would I not? Oliver, please. Your guide. Wait, Mike, I swear, you know what? You should be somebody that writes like the descriptions for things in like games, or like the things you come out with is wild. Okay, so I've got my guide. I know that my dodecahedron is gonna be here at some point. It'll probably start off screen. I'm gonna use a line so I know which way it's facing, because I assume it's probably gonna spin while it's doing stuff. Or a donkey. I mean, how about I merge the two? A dodecahedron with a donkey tail? This is not gonna be like the same shape all the way around. Okay, so if it starts here, we've got it here. We've got the dodecahedron somehow at the top. Mike, why would you wait for me to start drawing the dodecahedron first before you tell me about the donkey? That's my question. Okay, so we've got, it's gonna be there, even though this is off the screen, but this will help us work out what the halfway point is. So it starts there, gets there somehow it's at the top. It's gonna be on the slide. Remember, whenever we're doing fast actions, we want it to be really long. It's not really gonna be halfway in between, because we're sort of doing smears as we go. And if you want to recap on smears, we did that in the last lesson. This one is just the guide though, but by doing your guide in a way that's sort of similar to what you're gonna do, it can help you work a little bit faster if you don't need to necessarily work it out from your mind. Wait, just make it a dodeca hamster. Devlin, you're not helping. You're not helping. Is each side of it 10-sided? No. PJ, why are you all on this dodecahedron? How has this... He came up with the word dodecahedron? As a multilingual person, I don't like the word. No! Somehow it's going to be down here. We don't really need to worry about how it's going to make it there. It just does. So it's going to be there. And then I guess it's going to be off the screen. That's not the right shape, but... Okay, boom. So now our guide tells us where it's going to go. We'll be able to make our pose to pose from this, as each of these are a pose. What color should this dodecahedron be, you lot? Let me know. While you're thinking of a color, what we can do on top of this before we commit to doing any poses, we can actually indicate some arcs. So for instance, I'm just gonna lower my brush size. If I say how I want it to move, this way I'll know what I'm supposed to draw in between. So it somehow gets there, slides out there, right here. Purple, okay, got it. Purple and blue. Okay, we can do purple, blue. Hot pink! Okay, so I'm gonna write this in the corner. Gonna make a new layer. I'm just gonna call it notes. And in my notes, where I'm gonna leave all my stuff, I'm also gonna leave the colors that you mentioned. That way it's off the screen, but I can access it really easy. So maybe we can make, what was the colors? Purple, blue. Got the hot pink, blue, and a purple. But all kind of from the same color spectrum, aren't they? That's awesome. You don't like the pronunciation? No, Sandra, no! Pony boy. It's derived from a 16th century Greek word, the decadros. Okay, dodecadros does actually sound like a monster, like Godzilla style, meaning 12 face, which makes sense. That does make sense, but I'm feeling like that's a monster that Godzilla would have fought in a movie. So I've got my notes at the top, something that we can just constantly add to and leave on the screen. So before we continue making our pose to pose, we're gonna have to lower the opacity a little bit. What we have to do is double click on the layer itself, pretty much anywhere will do. And I'll see if 50 is okay. I can still sort of see that. If we wanted it less, we can absolutely make it a little bit less. This could be a D&D. It actually could be. I mean, it kind of... The D&D dice is totally a dodecahedron, right? I'm going to save as well. Don't forget to save. And we'll start with a base color. If it's going to be purple and blue, that actually is going to really help. Because when the dodecahedron moves around, it's going to rotate. That way people can tell which way it's rotated. So I'm going to have purple on one side, blue on the other. Let's make a new layer in between. So now, I'm just going to call it Deca because I don't know how to spell it. We're going to call it Deca. It's thank you. Val, you hear what I'm saying? You like to see Val draw it? So Val, when are you going to draw Godzilla versus Dodecadros? We're here for it. I bring my popcorn. I want to see how it goes down. Thank you. Hence numbering each side. Oh, PJ! So the dodeca hamster would be a hamster with 12 faces. That sounds a bit like Nightmare Fuel, actually. Okay, so we've got Deca body. Now, before I make a drawing, I'm going to do this in 4s instead of 2s. I could do it in 2s, but then I would extend it to 4 and then split it. So it's up to you, but ultimately we're gonna start off with 2s, and then that will allow us to choose if we want it to be on 1s, which is good for fast movement, or maybe a little bit longer if we need a hold anywhere. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna hit my F6 to make a blank. I'm gonna pop these notes up here for you as well. F7. Wow, that's really thick. Hold on a second. F7. Just trying to think, what does it do? It makes a blank. I'm just gonna write the word blank on it. We're writing on the wrong bit. Good, cool thing, good to know. F7 makes a blank. F6 duplicates. F5 adds. We'll go with that. So that way you can see where it was. I thought it was, oh no, you're not in trouble. We're just really eager to see what you do. That's all, no pressure, no pressure. Don't forget to lock your layer and you won't make the same mistake I just did. Now you can, if you like, color in the object that's off the screen. But I think I will probably do the main one that we can see first. I'm gonna pick a brush size of 10. Yep, that will do. And I'm gonna draw the entire shape in with the one color. We can actually, oh, since we've actually got a half, we can draw one half, draw the other, or we could draw the entire shape. Let me see if I do that now. If we do have one entire shape done and you actually want to draw it on the same layer, if you press B, go up to your brush mode. You've got paint fill only, which technically this is filled in. Paint behind, which won't really help in this case. Paint selection or paint inside. So you could go to paint inside, make sure you're drawing on it and it will actually paint inside the area for you. Or if you have made a gap, you could go over to the paint bucket, which is K, and plop it in there. So now you've got our little thingamading-ding, which I think I'm using the paint inside so I don't accidentally go off the mark. Sometimes it might have a hard time filling in some gaps though. You have been forewarned. A 20s, what? You lot are still on this hamster? Why didn't you tell me hamster in a wheel? That would have been cool. Okay, so we've got the first shape. We'll move over and we'll do the next shape and we'll keep going. Thingamading-ding, you know, do you lot end up with really interesting words as you're working? Or you're trying, like, you know what you're talking about, you know what you mean, but the word isn't coming. Make it 20-sided. PJ, please. And then they say he's gonna go, Godzilla. It's Oliver's fault. Oliver, how could you do this? How could you do this to us? And I'm leaving it on paint inside. It might give me some dodgy results though, which it is. So I'm gonna select my entire thing, go back to the brush and see if I can do paint fill only. Oh, we've accidentally lost our color. Yeah, I think paint fill only is a little bit more reliable in this case. So we're gonna stick with that one. Okay, so if we go back and forth, it's there, it's there, it slides down. So if it jumps and it rotates its body, we're actually going to have to factor that in because we've got two different color bits. The one in the sky keeps on turning. Like, beautiful. Oh my gosh. Someone else should have suggested something. It's everyone else's fault. I mean, Oliver's not wrong. You lot just sat there and watched Oliver suggest something wild like this, and here we are. All right, so I'm gonna do F7 because if we did F6, it means that we're gonna still have the same image. We wanna have a fresh image, so let's do F7. And we know this one's a slide. This would be 1 frame long, but for now we're going to allow it to be the same 4 seconds. Although we could totally make it a little bit smaller. It just depends on how you're working. The way that it looks in the moment is not necessarily how it's going to be overall. Paint fill only. Oh, okay. Gonna have to be a little bit messy with this. We'll go forward a little bit more. Do it again. Until our shape is off the screen. Oops. Oopsie-daisy. Make sure once you've used a different brush mode, you do need to manually turn it back. We love you, Pixie. Got to tease you a bit. Wow, PJ, wow. PJ. There we are. I couldn't think of anything. Thought you would use the bunny. I was going to. I actually was going to. And then the dodecahedron. I was gonna use the bunny. The dodecahedron. Ooh. Okay. So now let's say if we play this through, I'm gonna turn on my loop for a certain area. There we go. So we've got our dodecahedron that's sliding on through. We can hide our guide for this. So technically, rudimentarily, we actually do have an animation already. I do. You know what? I've got to. How, like, the only way we can get better is to challenge ourselves, right? We're gonna do it. So already with just those 4 frames, we've got a little bit of something happening. We can't go to the straight ahead yet because we haven't really done enough here. I want this to look a little bit smoother. I want some more frames. Now, as we spoke about in the what screen, we need an in-between. So the in-between is what happens between 1 and 2. So let me turn on my onion skin. Now I can see where they both are. And I'm gonna claim that this was not the first frame. So let's extend this a little bit by pressing F5. And I'm gonna hit no, I'm not. I'm just gonna drag it over. That way I can have a blank at the beginning. So now I know where it ends up. Change our brush back. There we go. We know where it ends up. Based on our guide, we know it starts there. Now it's time for the in-between. We look at both of the pictures and we decide how it got from here to there. What number will it land on? Okay, so Oliver, we're not adding any letters. Could you imagine? The trials and the tribulation. All right, so now we've got our onion skin. Don't forget you can drag it if you need a little bit of help to see it. I'm gonna claim that the purple's up here somewhere. So it's probably maybe something like this, a little bit stretched, a little bit like, ooh. And then let's make our line, change our colors. I really shouldn't have started to like paint the purple signs on it. That was the mistake. Okay, so now we've got an in-between. We've got a next one. We want an in-between between these two. What I might do is have it go straight up there instead of that little gap there that we have. So let's extend it again. And I'm gonna start to turn this into 2s. A backflip and it nails the landing. I mean, if we made it slide off, come up and then down, we could actually, if we've got time, we'll do it. So I'm gonna hit that F7. I'm doing it into 2s now, slowly. And I'm gonna skip this bit for the sake of time. Make sure our brush is on the right mode. I'm gonna claim that it somehow gets up here. So I'm gonna do a stretch or a smear. Should I do a smear? We're gonna do a smear. So it's gonna have long body. Long body from there to there. And I'm just gonna draw outside of it. Now, technically, this layer is separated. So if you did want to move the slide on top or underneath anything, you could totally drag it up. I am not. Can't forget the purple. Wow! Alessandra, please. You're not helping. All right, here we go. We've got it down. We've got the smear. But that does mean that we need a halfway between that halfway. I feel like you get where we're going with this. As you go along, it makes sense and it adds up and it fits in. The decagon! The decalagon! Okay, now that sounds like a Metabot. So we've got this. We could keep doing in-betweens between the in-betweens we just made, but to allow yourself to see that it's actually doing something, once you've made an in-between, go to the next bit. So I've got this bit here. I need something in between these two. I'm going to claim that it jumps. So I'm going to put my F7 down, make another one. It jumps or something. Or should it just roll? Should it just slide? I haven't thought of sliding. We're going to make it jump. That I've gotten grasp the jump. So somehow it will be here. You don't really need to worry about how it gets to those positions. That's for you to deal with later. I'm gonna say that it squashes when it's up here. And we'll fill that in as well. Change our color, fill in the next half. Wonderful. And let's make this a 2 as well. Now, later on, if we deem this to be a fast action, we will change it. So we need something between this and this. Thankfully, it is normally more of the same. So once you find your flow with what you're doing, I'm going to make this a smear actually. So let's say that's the wrong color. Let's say from here to there, we get a bit of an odd stretched kind of shape. Remember, the smears are yay way between both types of things. It's kind of interesting because this one's got a bit of a weird shape already and you got a line in the middle. So we're definitely gonna have to make sure that when we're finished, this is on a 1. Otherwise, everyone's gonna see that it looks really weird. They're not supposed to see that. The eye's supposed to take it in like a blur, but people aren't really supposed to see it. And then we'll do a halfway between this and this. And then we'll take a little look. Boing into the center, boing into oblivion. Yes. Right, another F7. And make sure we've got the right mode on. There's probably a shortcut for that. And I will find out what it is. I'm not sure if I want to make it spin in the air. That might be more work than we've actually got time for. So we can only see that little corner there, so we're not too worried about how it fills out. Let's take a look at our handiwork. Ooh, let's make sure there's enough of a gap there. And glitter. PJ, you know the glitter would totally be done afterwards. In post. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of, ooh, let's cut off the side here. We've got a little bit more of some action going on, of it sliding, doing its thing off the screen. That's what we like to see. But I feel like we might need one more of this to make it actually feel a little bit more cemented. Because right now it's kind of... So this jumping action is quite fast. So let's say that that's on a 1. That's a nice slide. Woo! So this is a fast action. Fast actions are on 1s. I want a halfway between these two. So let's make a new frame right there. Let's give it a smear. So it's halfway between that. Claim that this is halfway between this one It's kind of a nice cheat for us to complete this quickly. Make sure that it's fully covered if you do want to use the paint bucket. Thank you, Uma. We tried with that slide. We really tried. There we go. Can be haphazard with this. So it hits the mark. It will probably squash. I'm going to squeeze a little bit more in, I think. Because I need it to squash down and then maybe go to the other one. You might find as you keep working that maybe a pose that you did doesn't really work anymore. And it's totally okay to have to delete it or make a new one or something like that. I'm gonna do F6 instead of F7 because I'm just gonna slightly manipulate this instead and see if I can get away with that rather than having to draw a new one. So we've got this, we've got a little bit of a tilt. Maybe we should make it a little bit wider without making it bigger. Make sure it's down below. So this is where the usefulness of having the onion skin on is. So we've got a little bit of an action. This would be a sort of fast-ish one. So we could play around with making it on a 2 or on a 1. I'm gonna do F7 for this one. I'll make that a 2 for now. Maybe we'll make it 1 later. Welcome, Proxy. Having a lovely day. Have you had your drink? Something to eat? Gonna say that it's just started to bounce off here. So it's, oops, we're using the wrong brush type. It's gonna catch us out every time on this one, isn't it? There we go. Make sure that it doesn't intercept something that it shouldn't intercept, but make sure that it's actually closed off, otherwise it won't do the color that we'd like. There we go. Change our color over, and again, make sure you've got the right mode selected. So now if I take a quick look at that, ooh, it's jumping, it's alive, it's alive. Cool, so we've got this, but these should be fast. So let's hold shift, then F5. That will make this much faster. It looks a bit like toothpaste. Why do I feel like this is Colgate? Okay, there we go. Boom, boom, boom. So it goes up. Now we need an in-between between this one. I'm gonna say it's kind of like, ooh, a little bit of a squish ball. So if this is a 1 because it's fast, hit an F7 right here. We can see what's supposed to sort of happen there. Make sure our brush is on the right one. I'm gonna say, I kind of want it to sort of be really flat, but it's hard to describe the shape. It's really hard to describe the shape from there, but this will do. So we might need to pull this down a little bit because the smear is sort of supposed to be touching where it last was. And I'm gonna say that we're sort of looking at the underside of it now. Maybe it'll be up here. We go back and forth. Constantly scrubbing your work will help you to find out if it's doing the right thing. It looks like it hit itself incorrectly and went the wrong way. All right, we're almost done with our pose to pose half. Well, maybe I can give it a little bit of bout on the side there. We don't want this on. We really don't. Make sure that it's not giving us the wrong thing. It makes it into a shape layer or a kind of object layer, which is useful for other stuff, but not necessarily what we're doing at the moment. Thought that I kind of needed, I think that might do. All right, and let's make another 2 in between. Between this one and this one. I feel like you've got the hang of this by now though. Something like that. It's gonna be lots of smears in order for me to make sure that this gets done pretty quickly. which means this is going to be quite fast because they're all going to be on a 1 pretty much. Lovely. Take a quick look. Woo! With 2 middle initial NA. Okay, that's fun. Give it head, legs, and a tail. It could be a turtle. It could be a turtle. Well, we do need a tail, and the tail's going to be fluorescent pink. Now, it's just landed. We can have it hold for a second. And then we want it to bend down. I'm just going to hit F6 so I don't have to redraw it. We can get away with this kind of thing for now. As long as it's not, oops, as long as it's not in a different position from where it started too much. Let's see. Woo! Oh my! Okay. You gotta risk it for the biscuit. I mean, you know, we did it. We already risked it by making it a dodecahedron, but a flat one, so it looks like a hexagon. But you know, it's a decalodon. So we've got the bend. The bend should be quick because we're not really adding in a bit of anticipation. We're not adding true anticipation in this one. And let's say we make a smear to get up there. I was saying to my sister, who trained as a frame-by-frame artist, that I realized that you can totally see where everybody is in their journey with animation-wise, like what they just learned, because they use it everywhere. Literally, as soon as I learned how to do smears, it's everywhere. Everywhere. It's almost the only thing I do is smears everywhere. I'm sure once it's like a baby's first words. This is my first words. It's smear. I've lost my color. Hold on. Let's go back, grab the color, make sure it doesn't overwrite the entire color. When it goes down the side, but the letters get smaller as it goes. Decalodon is better than perfect. Decalodon is better than perfect. Oh my gosh. You and Wade. You and Wade. Again, I demand t-shirts and things with... I feel like this is a t-shirt game in the making. Okay, we've got a little boom. Then we can spend the other end of the lesson doing the straight ahead, which is very fun, very fun. Okay, it goes up. I need a halfway between this and this. I don't know. I feel like for where it's gonna go down, it doesn't quite make sense because how does it land on the slide like that? So I'm just gonna move it. It just did not make sense. Because if it jumps up there, it should hit the slide somewhere else, and I don't want to have to mess with that. So I'm gonna mess with this instead. So there we go. We got it going up. This is gonna be on a 1. Why? Because it's fast. Oh la la, decalodon. It's the da 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 da. F7. Gonna make it. You guessed it. Smear to a smear to a smear. Hey. Get the shape. Get the thing slightly touching the other one. Wrong mode, of course it is. There we go. Now, Penny, you mentioned you were going to do a pickle sliding down the slide. I would like to see it. Ironically, I was watching an anime before I started streaming today, and there's a character, and his name is Pickle. It's a call-in. Penny, it's a call-in. I can't say the sentence I was going to say because it sounds a bit dodgy now. But I'm looking forward to seeing the animation of said pickle. There we go. There. There. Better. So we've got the slide down. We can press enter on the keyboard to take a look. Oh, that's really... Imagine if that was toothpaste just sliding onto the toothbrush. Yes. The whoosh solves every problem. That's where you put the whoosh. Absolutely. It's the whoosh. It's the whoosh. Now on this frame, we've left it a bit longer than it should be. It's a fast action. It's an action where the image is messed up a little bit. So we make it quick so people don't notice it too much. Joshua, please. I don't know if that's a good thing. Oh, thank you, Christoph. And this is also a smear. That means we've got to move it along. Put it on a 5. We've got this. This is a normal action, so I'm gonna make it a 6. Claim that it's bending down. I'm holding control to manipulate its position just a little bit more. And I think what I'm going to do after it does the bend, we'll put another one in here. And we'll actually have it sort of have a little bit of body. Whoops. Have a little bit of body going off the screen so we have a little bit of closure. Hi, Jack. So, Jack, originally I was asking people for like a shape or an object that we could do. If you were here earlier, you would have told me a donut and I would have happily obliged. But now, thanks to Oliver, we've got the dodecahedron. So here we are with a dodecahedron. So we can turn off our guide layer now and take a look and all, ooh, hey, okay, that's boom. Well done, Oliver. The dodecahedron actually looks really cool. I would never have picked this. Thank you, our two-tone dodecahedron. This half was all done in pose to pose, P to P. So here's where the straight ahead comes in. I didn't make anything weird about it. It's just a nickname you've had for a long. Joshua, what's it related to? Now the straight ahead. Since the character is going exactly where they need to go, we can draw one after the other the floppy thing that's happening afterwards. In this case, it is a fluorescent tail. I'm gonna do my best to make it a tail. I need to be careful with this one, I feel. Okay. Oh, let's make sure we can see everything else. That's cute. Even not as a donut. Thank you, Jack. Oh yeah, I haven't heard dodecahedron since school, and it was only once. I don't know why we were talking about it. What class is that in? Science? Okay, so let's make a new layer. Call it, I'm just gonna call it SH for straight ahead. Where is the tail supposed to be? If this is the face, it doesn't have a face, but it's got a tail. If this is the face, I could put it underneath or behind, so you don't see the tail until the character's sort of on the screen. Okay, we could put it here. Imagine if we actually had little eyes on it. It'd be so cute. Right, so we want it to start from here. So I'm gonna hit F7. We could have just dragged the other keyframe over, but I chose not to. We're gonna pull it over. We'll claim that this is our tail. I'm just gonna turn, oh, if we lock the other layer down, it will stop us from seeing too much. I need to make sure this actually looks like a tail. So if I do that, and then we could have it like that, so it clearly looks like a tail, not something else. I think it's from D&D. Everyone's thinking it's D&D. You just have weird friends. Do you call them other food names? Okay, so we've got the tail. So because we're doing it straight ahead and we can actually see where it's supposed to go with our pose to pose, this is just us scrolling through. The next one's going to be another. Now we could either copy the image and stretch it out or draw it again. I'm gonna draw it again. I'm gonna say that it comes here. Where is that end half? Maybe like this. And because, here's the cool thing about the straight ahead and pose to pose, because they're technically on different timings, I can have the tail do something extra here. So it's there, the tail is now, we hit another F7. Let's check where it's going next. Ooh, so we can mix straight ahead and pose to pose together. Before I put that keyframe there, I'm gonna claim that the tail's down. It's down, but it's sort of out of the screen still. Now if I go back, let's drag this over. If I go back, I have where the tail was and where the tail's gonna be. So I've technically used half and half pose to pose with some straight ahead. The dodecahedron is a character in the Phantom Fall booth. Tom, is that true? It's the only one of the D&D shapes that you can remember? Jack, you were right. You digging the music? Are we all just doing the Decadron's drive? The Decadron groove. Is that what we're gonna call it? So now I've got a halfway in between this. Let's say it's like that. And I'll put it here. So it had a tail. I think one thing that's really funny when you're doing your thing, if you don't finish the bit that you're animating before you press play, it's like the character just drops that bit and continues their life. It's really amusing. When I was doing the bunny, it was like the bunny just dropped its ears and it's like, yep, whee! Very funny. Okay, so I need something here. Oh, we could do a smear. Oh my gosh, let us do a smear. All of it. Okay, so a smear would be this. And it would be this. That part would be open. I was like, how am I going to do this? Because I don't have enough frames. So we've got it smearing its tail down. Do a little bit of a curve. I'm glad you lot really like the music. There we go. And now I can keep going with my straight ahead, making a new one as I go along. And I don't really need to see the too many frames from behind. We only really need to see the last one that it went to. Hi, Silver. Thank you for popping in. Always on your very busy day, your very busy schedule. I'd say maybe it was about here. We've got a little bit of a stretch. In the book, the dodecahedron leads the way to Digitopolis. Obviously, by the way of the slide. Yes, the way of the slide. F7 again. Swing it over. Hello, Walpois. Hope you're doing well. We are just going over putting in... Ooh, I want this to sort of be a smear as well, I think. I haven't really done a lot of work with tails. I'm going to say this right now. When you're doing things based off stuff, or even if it's not based off anything real, always try to find a reference. At the moment, I'm sort of trying to go off what I remember from things that are kind of loosey-goosey in general. Love to hear. Oh, thank you. I went to a jazz thing recently and we had to dress up very 1930s. So my hair is 1930s-esque. 1930s! Alrighty, let's hit that F7 again. I'm gonna say... It made it up a little bit. And we can go back through and check our progress. Nice. Now we can always tweak this at any point. But for now, I think we're all right. Hello, Ankan. And it's gonna have to... I think we're gonna ignore these ones. Take a look at the one where the tail should be fully down. This is where we're gonna semi-pose to pose. There we go. Have the tail there. Let's claim that it's half leaning off. So this means that I've got a lot of wriggle room for how I want the tail to react on its way to go to this bit. Got about 5 minutes left. Aye, aye. We should be done with this pretty soon, I think. So, oops. Make sure we're in the right mode. We are. Want it to be halfway in between again. Somehow from there to there. We might just have like a proper cut. If in doubt, allow it to cut. And then we'll have another one between this and this. No rush, but hurry. Okay, I'm hurrying! I'm hurrying! Don't worry, we won't get ban-hammered, I promise. Ah! So already, thanks to us doing it this way, we've got quite a... Oh, we've got some nice movement. Hello? Okay, well done with your suggestions and for the colors, by the way. I'm really digging this. So, we've got the next one going up. F7 on that ting. I'm gonna say it's still sort of coming from behind there. We go the next one. If you like, when you want to do pose to pose on your straight ahead, sometimes doing it on picking the extreme main pose to do your next straight ahead on might be really helpful, because that way, even if you're not sure what's supposed to happen afterwards, you at least have a reference point for where it should sort of go. Right, we got the slide. We can make this really long, maybe a bit wider. Keep going down, and we're almost done. And we've actually done all the things we said we would. Really happy about that. Slide it all the way off. Did we lose anything? I don't think we have. And let's say we have a type of smear type thing going on, because it's on the screen for so long. So it's about there. It goes down. Down a little bit more. And off it goes. And let's take a gander when we cut it off. Woo! Not too bad. Let's block off the other sides. So this is us using straight ahead and pose to pose in one go. Obviously you can do this on more complicated projects, but trying it on something simple like this would probably be a really, really good idea. So that was really fun. Thank you for the very, very interesting suggestions for what we should work on. But this does mean it's time for the conclusion. So your homework is to complete the mini game homework. Use pose to pose and straight ahead on an animation of your own. And don't forget, if you'd like to have your work featured on Animation 201, send me a DM. I think my Behance link is in the description box. And if you need any help, you know where to find me. Stay tuned. We do have some wonderful other streams coming right at you on Adobe Live. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm really glad you all enjoyed it. My pleasure. I'm so glad you all had so much fun. Thank you very much, Val. Now stay tuned for the next stream that's coming on Adobe Live.